The International Space Station now flying just past Rio de Janeiro, soon to cross the equator, as we prepare for the undocking of the Soyuz spacecraft and a short maneuver of about 25 minutes in duration to reposition it to a new docking port at the aft end of the Zvezda service module. Again, this graphic shows how the Soyuz will back away from Rosviet to a distance of about 180 meters, a period of station keeping and the slight rotation of the Soyuz to reposition its solar rays toward the sun prior to Yurchikhin manually flying the Soyuz from basically a 6 o'clock position to a 9 o'clock position relative to the Zvezda service module and the longitudinal axis of the International Space Station for another period of about 4 minutes of station keeping before he will press in for a redocking, contact and capture, and the closing of the hooks that will complete today's maneuver and set the stage for the arrival of a third Soyuz vehicle and a third trio of space travelers to the International Space Station less than a week from now. This view is exactly what Fyodor Yurchikhin is seeing inside the descent module at the commander's position in the center seat of the descent module. The cross-haired overlay in the left-hand side of your screen is from an external camera on the Soyuz spacecraft and other engineering data that's available to him. This display is called the Neptune panel on the cockpit, if you will, also known by the Russian name of INPU. This is exactly what Yurchikhin uses for visual cues and data as he communicates with the Russian flight control team here in Koryadov during the process of this relocation exercise that's about to get underway.
Copy.
Yes.
10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sending command. Command has been sent. D7 is illuminated. D11, D15, G17, S13, and T8 is illuminated with MEC connection. Another D17 to be set at 11.
In the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, the visiting vehicle officer, Tom Erkenswick, has reported to Flight Director Chris Edelin that the Soyuz docking mechanism has been powered up. This the precursor to the command that will be sent to begin the opening of the hooks that have held this Soyuz spacecraft in place at the Rosviet module since May 29th.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sending. We've sent D17 at 11:32:00. Copy that. D17 is not illuminated. D15 is not illuminated. S13 is not illuminated. And S11 is illuminated. Copy all.
And the visiting vehicle officer reports that the Soyuz hooks are now driving open. We should be receiving the word and see in our downlink television view from this camera on the truss of the International Space Station physical separation of the Soyuz just a few seconds from now to begin the 25-minute maneuver to undock, reposition, and redock the Soyuz from Rosviet to the aft port of the Zvezda service module.
MEC connection LED is off. Copy that. We have SSVP mode. We're seeing the physical separation. Separating.
Undocking confirmed. Physical separation confirmed at 3:33 a.m. Central Time, 12:33 p.m. Moscow time, as the International Space Station flew 262 statute miles over the South Atlantic Ocean, just south of the equator.
Obviously. Open. And L1 Rotor command. Another one is ready. Copy the sending Rotor command. The command has been sent. Luca. Copy that. Selecting A9 has been sent. A9 has been sent.
That's off route. Video command route.
Ready for the route command. And G5 command. We have depot B. B1. We have translation hand controller. We have OSTA stabilization. LED illuminated. Copy all. Sending. Inaudible. We're seeing the crosshairs misaligning. Can you look at the docking note? Yep, we're seeing the. We're seeing the. Yeah, can you switch to the narrow angle? And the docking interface is clean. We're seeing it. Yes, we're seeing everything we should be seeing. All's nominal. 3 squares and one target's width.
Soyuz Commander Fyodor Yurchikhin reporting that the docking interface at the Rassvet module that the Soyuz just departed from is clean. That's good news for the next crew that will be arriving to link up to Rassvet just 6 days from now. A good view of the Soyuz as Yurchikhin at the controls of the Soyuz and the descent module in the center seat, flanked on his left by Luca Parmitano and Karen Nyberg on his right. Begin this maneuver to back away to a distance of about 180 meters, where the Soyuz will begin a short period of station keeping. It should take about 5 minutes for this back-out procedure to be completed and set the stage for an initial check of the Soyuz systems before Yurchikhin begins to fly around to the aft end of the Zvezda service module.
Copy. As far as the width of the docking interface, we're about 3 cells. 3 squares. Okay. Finished adjusting roll. Standing by on ready to send the command on your go. Okay. Copy, Luca. We're right above the docking interface. Copy. Docking interface is clean. Continuing separation. Copy. About 2.5 squares as far as the width of the docking interface is our position. Copy that.
6 meters.
6 meters, yep, just a little bit more and we'll be good to go. Inaudible. About 2.5 squares along the width of the interface. About a little less than 30 meters.
Yurchikhin is currently providing Russian flight controllers with a blow-by-blow description of his view of the docking port at the Rassvet module that he just departed from. This view shows the Neptune control panel on the cockpit of the Soyuz spacecraft, and in the upper left-hand corner, that cross-haired view is the engineering view of data that is being provided back to the Russian flight control team here in Korolyov for situational awareness about the position of the Soyuz and the condition of its systems.
R7 has been sent. We're going to go past the DC. Can you tell me what the range? Yes, we're monitoring the range. About half a cell along the target have just sent the R7 command. R8. Above the sending the notable 12 command. Illuminated already. Continuing flyabout. Alert 2. The 12 is on. Sending the command. Copy. Are we go to send the command? Yes, you go. You go, Luca. Sending. 6 squares along the diameter of the SM, approaching the SM aft. Approaching the edge of the SM aft. Moscow, Luca. Go ahead, Luca. When I send the command, the LED now is off.
Your Chicken is in the process of maneuvering from the Russian side closest to the U.S. segment of the International Space Station over to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. Everything proceeding on track, in fact, a few minutes ahead of schedule, as your Chicken manually flies the TMA 09M spacecraft for a redocking to the Zvezda service module, having freed up the port to the Rosviet module for the arrival of 3 additional crew members to the station on November 7th.
Continuing flyabout. Roll off command. LED is lit? No, it's not lit. Send the AGC to change the brightness. Send the R5 to reset the AGC mode. Sending R5, Romeo 5. Copy and work. Can you do that? Yep, I'll do it. Selecting S5. Sending. Thank you.
Ballistics officers in Mission Control in Houston report that your Chicken is now about halfway through the fly-around that will take him to a point about 180 meters behind the aft port of the Zvezda service module in this relocation maneuver, the first act in the choreography over the next 2 weeks that brings 9 crew members to the space station for the first time since October 2009, also brings the Olympic torch to the International Space Station, takes it outside during a spacewalk that is scheduled on November 9th, and brings it home on the morning of November 11th in Kazakhstan, the night of November 10th U.S. time, to complete its journey from the Earth to space and back, and for its resumption in the Olympic relay that will culminate in its lighting the Olympic flame at the Fisht Stadium in Sochi, Russia, to mark the opening of the 2014 Winter Olympics.
Decelerating. What command again? Sending S inaudible. Copy. Sending D7. Sending inaudible.
S16. This view now through video being relayed from the Soyuz spacecraft in the upper left-hand corner. A good view through the engineering cameras on the exterior of the TMA 09M spacecraft as Yurchikhin now begins to align the forward docking probe on the Soyuz with the aft port of the Zvezda service module. Zvezda first launched in July of 2000 to serve as the first living quarters aboard the International Space Station. All of this activity began with the launching of the Zarya module back in November of 1998, almost 15 years ago, just 3 weeks shy of the 15th anniversary of that first Element launch, now culminating with soon, next week, the resumption of 9 people on board the International Space Station, the first time that that's been accomplished since October 2009 without the presence of a space shuttle.
Заканчиваю облет.
Coming to a close of the flare-out.
На причале с разрешения Земли. Принято.
When you're done with the flare-out, you have MCCM go to proceed to the final approach. Copy that. Can you confirm, Luca, the D9 is eliminated? Say again.
Everything right on the money, right on the timeline during this fly-around of the Soyuz vehicle being executed by veteran Soyuz commander Fyodor Yurchikhin. You can see in this view, again in the upper left-hand corner from cameras on the outside of the Soyuz vehicle, the accordion-like solar arrays on the Zarya module. Those were folded and permanently stowed, no longer to be used, several years ago, since Zarya receives power from the U.S. solar arrays on the U.S. segment of the International Space Station.
Есть небольшая скорость на расхождение.
Slight rate to separate, decelerating.
Принято.
Copy that.
Yurchikhin now conducting a roll maneuver. This rotational maneuver designed to correctly position the solar arrays on the Soyuz vehicle for the push-in for final approach that will be initiated a short time from now.
The probe and the latches, have they been extended? Let me see. Yeah, the probe and the latches have been extended. The LEDs are lit. Copy. Send the V5 command.
The visiting vehicle officer and mission control in Houston reporting that the forward docking probe is been fully extended, is powered up, and is ready for the push-in for contact and capture a short time from now to complete this relocation maneuver.
Accelerating.
The International Space Station is currently flying just over the northern coast of Africa, about to cross into the Mediterranean, and across the Mediterranean to the southern coast of Europe.
Copy regarding the LED status. We've just passed the the point where we were 2 squares along the docking interface. Copy. Okay, yes. Sorry, Fyodor. Yep. Just that I'll be using the translational hand controller a lot now. Gotcha.
Сколько у нас там запланированное время было?
11:58.
What is the scheduled time? 11:58.
Чуть раньше.
If you look closely in this exterior view on the upper left-hand corner from the cameras on the outside of the Soyuz, you'll see a crosshair target underneath the docking port on the Zvezda service module. That is the docking target that will align eventually with the crosshairs in this engineering camera view. That will enable your Chicken to know that he has precisely aligned his forward docking probe on the Soyuz with the center of the docking port itself as he begins his final approach. The initial rate will be about a meter per second. That will slow down to a very glacial rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second at the time of contact and capture.
Я тебе скажу.
Don't see the side. I'll tell you.
Прошли 3 клетки по стыковочному.
Past the point where we were 3 squares along the docking interface. The target is aligned at the center of the crosshairs. Copy that.
Сколько до тени?
How long before we go into sunset?
12:22. Далеко до тени еще.
12:22 is when we go, so you have plenty of time.
Да.
Copy that.
Мишель,
We're seeing the target very clearly.
Принято.
Copy that.
Прошли 4 клетки по стыковочному узлу.
Past the 4 square point along the docking interface. 14 meters. Copy that.
With all of the Soyuz systems in good shape and the flight control team here in Korolyov happy with the alignment of the forward docking probe with the port on the aft end of Zvezda, your Chicken pressed ahead, moving in now just about 12 meters away from contact and capture with the International Space Station.
The target is at the center of the crosshairs. The crosshairs are fully aligned. I'm monitoring the rate. Decelerating. Yes, we are getting the video now. Keep your reports nice and steady. Just went past the point where we were 2 cells along the docking interface. 6.5 meters.
Продолжаем сближение.
Continuing final approach.
Небольшое расхождение по тангажу.
Slight pitch misalignment. Adjusting for that.
Your Chicken making minor tweaks to the alignment of the forward docking probe with the aft port of Zvezda. Contact and capture is imminent.
Притормозился.
Slowing down.
Принято.
Copy that.
Три клетки
3 cells, 3 squares
по мишени.
along the 2.8. Copy that.
About 2 meters away as we stand by for contact and capture of the Soyuz TMA 09M with the aft port of Zvezda.
Mode, Lucas.
И
E18. E18. Copy. Get ready.
Немножко догоняет.
He was not said without
Sending E17. E17 has been sent. The command. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Более активная.
More active.
Продолжаю сближение.
Continuing final approach.
Мишень в центре перекрытия.
Target is at the center of crosshairs. The crosshairs are aligned. Copy.
Ожидаю касания.
Standing by for contact.
К 4 клеткам помещу.
Coming up to the point where we were 2 squares along the target. Copy that.
Just a few feet away now from docking. Your chicken continues to slowly press in.
How do you read me?
Everything going normally.
Standing by for contact. The target is at the center of the crosshairs. The crosshairs are aligned. Copy that. We have contact.
Есть касание.
We have capture.
Contact and capture. Docking confirmed.
Нет подвода.
The International Space Station now in free drift. Thrusters are disabled for the moment. Docking confirmed at 3:54 a.m. Central Time
Спасибо.
as the International Space Station and the Soyuz vehicle flew 262 miles over southern Russia near the border with the Ukraine.
L18, L2, sending. Yes, Luca.
Да, Лука.
L2, выдал команду.
Just sent L2. L2 has been sent.
Есть
We have make capture.
V8.
Sending D8.
Выдаю команду. Выдал команду.
Sending. Send. The command has been sent.
With docking having been smoothly and efficiently executed by Fyodor Yurchikhin and his crewmates, Luca Parmitano and Karen Nyberg, we're now in a position where the relative motion between the Soyuz and the space station will dampen out over the next couple of minutes to enable the initiation of the retraction of the probe, the forward docking probe on the Soyuz, and the initiation of the closing of the hooks by the Soyuz at the docking port on Zvezda to form a hard mate between the two vehicles. Again, redocking of the Soyuz with the space station occurring at 3:54 a.m. Central Time as the Soyuz and the station flew over southern Russia near the border with the Ukraine.
Закрываем РПВ-1, Федор.
Closing LPV1.
60.
68. Page. Yep. Moving on to page 68.
Я уже там, 0,9.
I'm already there. I'm waiting for you, Fyodor. Okay. Go ahead and close it.
РПВ-1 закрыт.
LPV1 is closed.
Параметры КДУ. Все стабильно.
Integrated prop system parameters stable.
And the visiting vehicle officer and mission control in Houston reports that the forward docking probe on the Soyuz is now in the process of retracting. Once it is fully retracted, that will enable hooks to begin the process of closing at the docking interface with the Zvezda service module. You see in the space station flight control room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, on the left, visiting vehicle officer Tom Erkenswick, joined on console by another visiting vehicle officer, Heidi Poppelreiter, as they watch over the systems of the Soyuz and the International Space Station during what turned out to be a very smooth 21-minute maneuver by Fyodor Yurchikhin and his crewmates to undock the Soyuz from the Rosviet module and take a short spin around the block to relocate at the aft port of the Zvezda service module.
I'll transition to KDU and you stick with the SSVP. Copy, Fyodor? Olympus, we are waiting for the pressure readings per table. Okay. As of 11:58, 57:40, 11:57:40. Pressure in the SA. Are you ready? 795. Pressure in the barrel. 781. and the pressure in the propulsion instrumentation compartment.
And the docking probe has now been fully retracted. We have a hard mate between the two vehicles. Hooks are in the process of driving on the Soyuz side of the docking interface.
Да. А я запустил секундомер 15 минут.
I've set the time for 15 minutes. Next set of measurements in 15 minutes. S13 is already illuminated, Fyodor. S13 is lit. I confirm. D17 is not illuminated. Copy.
Готовы выдать команду Владимир 18.
Ready to send V18. Go ahead.
На время 11:59:05. Команду выдал, наблюдаю перекладку.
The command has been sent. The time is 11:59:05. Monitoring the transition.
Yes, D15, горит птица крик.
Close. Command has been accepted at 39:30.
У нас пока не загорается.
This is Mission Control Koryov. Like everything else associated with today's Soyuz relocation activity, the hooks are now closed, forming a hard mate between the Soyuz and the aft port of the Zvezda service module. That completes the activity for the day, which went by the book and ahead of schedule, in fact, as Fyodor Yurchikhin, Luca Parmitano, and Karen Nyberg, three members of the Expedition 37 crew, took a short ride in their Soyuz vehicle, undocking from the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. They undocked at 3:33 a.m. Central Time, backed away to a distance of about 180 meters or so from the Rosviet, did a quick fly around of a few minutes to realign the Soyuz to the aft port of Zvezda, and then Yurchikhin, under manual control, which was the plan all for today, then pressed in with no problems for a smooth and uneventful redocking of the Soyuz to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. And as we mentioned, at 3:59 a.m. Central Time, hooks were closed between the Soyuz and the aft port of Zvezda to form a hard mate. The crew then now will spend about the next hour and a half or so conducting leak checks to make sure they have an airtight seal between the Soyuz and the aft port of Zvezda before they open up their hatch. And the station crew on their side of the docking interface, particularly Oleg Kotov and Sergei Ryzansky, open up the port hatch on the aft end of the Zvezda service module to enable the three space travelers inside the Soyuz to float back inside the International Space Station. They will doff their Sokol launch and entry suits that they wore for today's brief maneuver. They'll dry them out. They'll put the Soyuz back on space station power for the time being. This really the precursor to them taking a more extensive trip, that being their final undocking from the space station on the night of November 10th, a week from Sunday night, U.S. time, in which they'll back away to a more considerable distance from the International Space Station for their deorbit burn, entry back into the Earth's atmosphere, and a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan on Sunday night, November 10th, at 8:50 p.m. Central Time, which will be 8:50 a.m. in Kazakhstan at the landing site on the morning of November 11. And you can see that we will have extensive coverage